reality instead of just matter that we live in the materialistic world. Beautifully, Bhagavan gives the Shastra Pramana from the Sarvanyatma Agama, verse 15. For the power of Sarvanyatva, the Shastra Pramana are the eternal, unchangeable truth revealed in the source scriptures as Vedas and Agamas. This is from Sarvanyatma Agama, verse 15.
Verse 15. Bhagavan Paramashiva translates.
एवमेकात्मभावेन संस्थितस्य तु योगिनः सर्वज्ञत्वं प्रवर्तेत विकल्परहितस्य तु.
Bhagavan Paramashiva beautifully says, within such a yogi who established himself an absolute non-dual oneness with Lord Shiva and who keeps himself free from all sorts of differentiating notions, the exalted power of all-knowing Sarvanyatva, reality, living in a community, the Vata Varana, is more important. Simply we align to the higher consciousness. Bernard Shaw, Bhagavan says, was in a different place all his life and he moved into a different community. Just when people asked, why did you do that? All he said was, only if I move into a place where people live more than 100 years, I will be in a space of living healthy for 100 years. It is the Vata Varana which makes a big component in our consciousness, how we perceive the world, where we live, who we talk. Bhagavan beautifully says, who you crib matters a lot because you are taking the inputs from them. And when we only associate with the outer world, we are going into more delusion and more materialistic, not knowing how we are deluded even. But when we live in the higher consciousness space, we start understanding the higher reality. Bhagavan beautifully gives a reference of the Zen master who dresses up very nicely, all his coats and suits, and then he goes to sleep. When his disciple asks, why are you wearing all this to go to sleep when everybody retires to sleep? Beautifully he says that I don't know who I am when I wake up because who is me? Experiencing that oneness space, the ultimate space of oneness, if you understand how you exist, spirit as a consciousness, you will understand the higher existence, how you can manifest the greater reality. Just living as your body and materialistic world, we are only in the birth and death cycle of the mind. Again and again going through the birth and death of the mind, which is painful, which is horrible, which is root shock, which gives us all the traumas, and we have to wake up from that in a very miserable way. Instead, if we understand the higher consciousness is nothing but Paramashiva is real and Bhagavan himself waking us up into the reality and merging and surrendering to Bhagavan's lotus feet every moment, we start recognizing our higher self is Paramashiva and wake up to that reality. What you search, you get the feedback in cosmos. For that, you attract that. You gravitate into that. If you understand that you are not just the body, even that body, you don't use it fully. Bhagavan says how the sarira, how you exist in the deep sleep in a different sarira and in the dream state in a different sarira. You don't know that you are sleeping. You are in the dream going out with all your friends and families. So you are in a different sarira. Same way in the deep sleep, there is no seen, seer, nothing exists, but you know it exists. You are in a different sarira, the karana sarira. And when you are leaving your body, again you take up the karana sarira and you go into the pitraloka and whatever needs to be happening there. If you understand, you don't have to carry the mind all through all this state and continuously get into the delusion again and again. We know it, which is not no use to anybody and not you. And all that is only your own cognition that you are that. Like a wave, Bhagavan gives an example. How the wave collects the shells, collects the crabs, collects the sand and things. It can live forever, happily ever after. But before it could build anything, it is taken away from the ocean. Same way, if we understand, we are not just the wave, we are not just the body, we are the consciousness, Paramashiva, who we are. If we merge into that space, we don't have to again and again have the insecurity, incompletion, anger. All that is not us. The shell or sand or crabs is not us. The wave itself is part of the ocean. And as long as it thinks it is part, it is always going to feel insecure. If you are the ocean, you become the oneness, the Paramashiva. You understand your quantum, how the whole in a different frequency where you can manage, including your body as you want, how you want, where you want, in the dimensions that you want. The possibility is just how it is happening even now. We have to recognize what we are doing right now in us. Even now, Bhagavan says, you are Paramashiva, you are consciousness, reflecting and manifesting. Only a screen is blinding you for not looking at who you are. When you remove the blinds, you will understand that you are Paramashiva, and that is the very existential reality. Why we came to planet Earth, why we took the human birth, why in 8 billion people we are initiated by Bhagavan himself, God himself who has come as Guru, and understand the higher reality. Your mind cannot grasp it. If it can grasp infinity, it should be greater than infinity. So dropping the mind and catching the infinity as the ultimate space, the quantum space, is all Bhagavan is giving us through the power manifestation. This simple exercise gives us the breakthrough that we are consciousness. We are not just the matter. The Apta Pramana, how Bhagavan has given us all the greatest theories and understanding to make us understand we are consciousness. The story of the Barbaric, he was one of the greatest warrior who did so much of penance and tapas, and he was born son of Gatokacha and the Nagas, and his mother trained him and he did a penance and he got the boon of the bow and arrow, 3 arrows, very strange but very powerful. He can shoot the arrow and simply the arrow will go kill all the people in the enemy side and come back and stay with him. There's such a powerful arrow and bow that nobody has known to attack it. So Krishna placed the Leela in Mahabharata that he asked him to test him to go and take all the leaves from the tree, hiding one leaf under his leg. And he thought, how will they know? And simply Barbaric came and said, I know that you have a leaf under your leg. Please remove your leg, otherwise your leg will be hurt. He says this to Krishna, Vishnu. And when Krishna moves, it takes off the leaves. And then Krishna sees he has a boon that he will support, that he gave a vow to his mother, he will support the weak side. But whichever side he supports, they will be the winner because it will go and kill everybody. So he kills Barbaric and Barbaric says, please let me watch the whole thing, Mahabharata war. And he sits as just how the drome is. His only head is on the mountain where he is placed. And he watches the whole Mahabharata and witness the whole thing, including the Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita. He listens to the whole science, how we have the drome. It's still not understood how he's made. And they still, North India found his skull and they celebrate him as Durga Devi herself. The beautiful space of how these greater science, and whether we don't know whether he is human or he was the artificial intelligence, first artificial intelligence that happened on planet Earth. He had such beautiful powers to go beyond. Here Bhagavan explains about how we can go beyond the child tantum that we are constantly engaging, all the differentiating notions that we have, and how we can go beyond that in Atma Pramana. to manifest the powers of Paramashiva.
The more conversation you have, more frustrated you will become. Because the tantrum throwing child is not debating with you, he is protesting against you. So the more you engage that child in dialogue, more you try to engage that part of you in conversation, the more you will become frustrated. More the tantrum throwing child will become empowered. If there is a light, in front of that light I am doing some shadow games. How they do the shadow games, moving their fingers through that, they create shadows, and that's through the shadows they tell stories, the shadow stories and shadow games. In the shadow game, one lion and one deer, both of them are fighting. The lion is attacking the deer. You feel so painful and compassionate, you just wanted to save that deer from the lion. What's the best way? Switch off the light. Don't try to strengthen the deer. Don't try to supply weapons to the deer. Don't give rifle to the deer. Don't attack the lion. All that will be stupid. You will be attacking your own hand, which is doing the shadow game. Just switch off the light. Then the whole shadow game loses power. Same way, the tantrum throwing child in you is empowered when you engage in dialogue with that child. When you try to logically analyze with that child, reason with that child. If you tell that child, come on, all the time you are throwing tantrum, you don't go to office, you don't want to work in the house, you don't want to do completion, then what are you going to do? That is what empowers that child. You considering the child as an entity, you trying to complete with that child, you trying to deal with that child, empowers that tantrum throwing child. Leads to frustration of the tantrum throwing child and of you, frustration of you. Only thing you need to do, just sit. Yes, part of me is a tantrum throwing child. It is sitting like a butter on the fire. The fire is me, the space of completion. Just sit. Don't have the greed. The tantrum throwing child should melt away immediately. Don't have that fear what that stupid child is going to do to you and what all you have to go through. Nothing. When you sit in the banks of Ganga silently, automatically there will be rain, shine, Ganga level raising up, down, you will be cleaned. Even if you don't enter into the Ganga and take bath. Just sit on the space of your completion with the tantrum throwing child, which is part of you. Suddenly you will see the tantrum throwing child, which is part of you, just melts away. After 2 days, you will not even be able to remember that part of you, which is all the time throwing tantrum. Understand the lesson I learned from that session, exactly what is happening. I wanted all of you to do that process. This is one of the core truth about completion. Understand? All of us carry the professional protesting child who just doesn't like, doesn't want anything, doesn't feel good with anything, doesn't feel homely with anything, doesn't like anything. Only it wants to break everything. Marriage, break it. Family, break it. Job, break it. House, break it. Spirituality, break it. Completion, break it. Anything it sees in front of its eyes, it just want to break it. It just want to break it. That's all. Sit with that child, knowing clearly your completion is powerful enough when you sit with that child as that child. Don't even try to complete that child. Yes, this is the way part of me is. Just sit with that child. Don't have any dialogue. Don't even think, plan to complete that child. Don't think to relieve all that. Not even a completion process. Just sit with that child and know very clearly. Your vision space will melt down that child. You will see like a butter melting down. That incompletion, suddenly, it will happen in like a fraction of a second. You will be in a different space. That heaviness, that load of that child is no more there. Not even that child is dead, that child is evaporated. Understand? It does not even die and leave its dead body. It just gets evaporated. I saw the day. The moment I started holding my space of Advaita, I could see like in the hot pan, the moment you put the butter, how it becomes ghee in few seconds. Same way, all these guys, their incompletion just evaporated. In a hot pan, if you put a handful of ice, not only it will become water, it will become steam. Same way, I saw all these guys just, their incompletions, the tantrum throwing child is evaporation. The Advaitic space is not my property. Understand? I am a wholesale dealer, but I am not proprietor. It is not my own property. All of you have it. All of you have that inside you. So decide to sit with your Advaitic space and with your tantrum throwing child. Actually, you are nothing but the fight between your tantrum throwing child and your Advaitic space. Unfortunately, you think you own the tantrum throwing child because he makes more noise. An Advaitic space is very silent and polite. Because of that, you think he is not there. Sit with the clarity. Your Advaitic space will melt down, evaporate the tantrum throwing child you are carrying. Just in few seconds, the tantrum throwing child will evaporate. It will not be there anymore. Today, I wanted all of you to do this process. Take at least 21 minutes and sit. Of course, all the inner awakening participants, I will be guiding. Today you guys will do. Already you have done it. You have done it, and we will be doing further different levels of completion. But all the satsang participants, satsangis, don't miss this process. Sit. Sit with yourself for 21 minutes and
Beautifully, Bhagavan explained how when the tantrum throwing child, all the incompletion comes right on us, when we just unclutch and understand we are not touched by anything. Those which are coming into our reality is just a happening. All that is not us. The self does not understand anything. How in the dream it happens, and when you wake up, there is nothing that happens. You are completely in the space of oneness. You are, even people who get amputated sleep in the deep sleep the same way anybody is sleeping who is completely calm. So nothing touches us. That is the reality. That is what Bhagavan says. If you are in the space of oneness, the Advaita, the conscious, the quantum, the string theory, how it manifests in the atoms and protons and electrons, we are one and the same. If there is, you can't say my atom is different shape or your atom is different shape. It is all the frequency which is vibrating. When you understand you are frequency, you're not just the materialistic world, you're not just the body, the matter. The body does not understand anything. If you keep a cup of sweet juice, sweet lime, the cup doesn't recognize it. Same way the body does not recognize it. Then who recognizes it? If you say the mind recognizes, the mind doesn't even exist. It is a processor. It's like saying the computer recognizes a cup of coffee. It cannot recognize. It is the picture which is appearing on the computer or whatever is happening on the computer. The processor does not understand. The computer does not understand, but it is happening in the computer on the screen. Bhagavan says the screen is untouched by whatever is happening. Same way, you are untouched. You are Paramashiva, you are consciousness, who's manifested as the experience. And all five senses attest that you are experiencing as consciousness. But the five senses itself doesn't have any reason to experience anything. It doesn't come back and say, give me more juice. I like it. The tongue does not say it. Because you are not just the body, the materialistic world. You are the consciousness. If you understand that and become complete in oneness with Paramashiva, empty, how you are in deep sleep, you will start downloading all these greater signs. Here, Ma Durgananda has shared in Shakti Pramana. She says, yesterday, Kai, for the first common test, English composition and additional math, he told Swamiji to download the memory of the author to him. He was writing many flowery words that he didn't even know. And math, Kai received Bhagwan's blessing before he attempted the paper. Swamiji, take care of everything for my boy, for this boy. Beautifully, she shares how he downloaded just being. All the kids are naturally empty and simply they are able to data truth just like that. All this greater science is already in us as the space of oneness with Paramashiva. Now let's sit straight with the head, neck and spine in a straight line and understand the greater truth, how Paramashiva is real.
Set up the camera.
If you can switch on the camera. If you have the Kantamala, you can apply the Jnananjan in your third eye and your temple. You can write down some questions that you have no idea. You want to download about string theory, about gravity, electromagnetic force, how greed and gravity is connected, or the fear and electromagnetic force is connected, how the powerful cognition, what is this Nirvikalpa Samadhi, whatever you want, but write down in the sense that you can Google and get the answers. Don't write something which you would just get the answer, but you can Google and verify it so that you know it is the download which you have no idea, but it is happening to you. All this greater science Bhagavan is giving us to make us understand the greater truth, greater reality. Paramashiva is real. Now let's sit straight with the head, neck and spine in a straight line. Visualize Paramashiva Sundareshwara in your third eye and all his words. Each of Bhagavan's words is a mantra. It just does not get into your logical brain but also cleanses and makes you understand the higher Kailasha brain into you and simply manifest the higher reality. All the words from Bhagavan is not just words, it's mantra. Any satsang you listen any number of times is like listening to the mantra. How you sit in meditation and listen to mantra, the Om chanting or any mantra, same way Bhagavan's words is more powerful mantra which penetrates you into making you a higher reality itself. Again and again, listening to Bhagavan's satsang makes you the eternal being just by listening to his satsang. Visualize Paramashiva, sit as Parashakti, Sundareshwara, whoever your Ishtadevata. It's not the label that you carry, but sit as Paramashiva himself. That is the reality, who you are. Your Guru Paramashiva says, and you are Paramashiva, you are reflecting consciousness. It's like when you go to the mirror and you see yourself, what do you see? You are that. You're not labeled that. You are that. When you entangle with Bhagavan in the quantum space, in this quantum oneness video, you are that. You are not reflecting. You are not labeled that. You are that. Absolute unclutching from everything that you know as you. How you unclutch and go to deep sleep. You have no thoughts, nothing, no mind, and you just go into the deep sleep, forgetting even your body. Same way, unclutch from everything that you know as you. And collective integrity, Bhagavan spoke the whole satsang. All of us holding this Paramashiva space will have more effect on each one of us, experiencing the higher consciousness. Collectively sitting as Paramashiva, chanting the Mahavakya from the navel center with a deep listening, simply you can experience the Nirvikalpa Samadhi and manifest all the powers of Paramashiva. Let's start manifesting the Paramashiva space, state and powers and Paramashiva. Entangling with Bhagavan and experiencing the oneness. Sit straight with your head, neck and spine in a straight line. Continuously chant the Mahavakya from your navel center. With a deep listening, chanting and experiencing the oneness, the bhava that you're sitting as Paramashiva with 25 heads and 75 eyes and 50 hands, continuously in the oneness space, chanting the Mahavakya. Let's experience the power of Sarvangnatva.
Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om Nithyananda.
So beautiful. Slowly open your eyes. Whatever you have written down, verify it. Google and verify the answers. All this greater truth, Bhagavan is telling us that everything that we know is not just from the five senses. Even that we know from five senses is because it is reiterated into us. All the great Mahatma, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ramana Maharshi, and Mahapariva, all of them, Bhagavan himself, are Ega Sandagragi. Any difficult text, just one time listening, they can repeat everything verbatim. Mahapariva knew about 40 languages. Just one time listening to the Malaysian language, he repeated that back to that person, and the person was so shocked. Same way, when Hanuman met Lord Rama, Hanuman asked Lord Rama in 9 grammar in Sanskrit the questions, and Rama simply downloaded and answered so beautifully that Hanuman just melted. All these great saints are able to just download any language, any knowledge just from the oneness space. Paramashiva is real and he is manifesting in us as reality. Again and again, not giving up that space, but adamantly holding that space. Bhagavan says, arrogantly hold that space, that Paramashiva is real, and make sure Paramashiva manifests in you as all that and auspiciousness, abundance, and all-knowing just by connecting to Paramashiva in the unclutched space. Anything you declare in the unclutched space becomes a reality. When you are in the deep Samadhi, the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where you have lost the body consciousness, the thought, whatever is happening, you just surrender to Bhagavan's lotus feet by unclutching. Again and again, when you unclutch from the understanding that you are Paramashiva, you are Parashakti, who the creator of the whole universe and whole loka, you will understand that all these mere thoughts does not disturb you. When you surrender again and again to Bhagavan's lotus feet, you raise into the powerful space of consciousness. You remove the screen that it is stopping you from recognizing who you are, and more looking in who you are. Collectively, all of us, as Paramashiva is real, we start recognizing, Bhagavan says, recognizing is recognizing ourselves that we are Paramashiva. We are not just the body, the materialistic world, or just the mind, which is just the processor putting us into different states of consciousness. It is an action. It cannot do anything other than putting us into a space where it has to function. So all that we need to understand is Paramashiva is real. Paramashiva is manifesting through me as all auspiciousness, all knowing, Sarvajñatva. If we hold that powerful space and chant the Mahavakya continuously with a deep listening, the chanting raises the frequency, listening brings the thoughts down. And more when you surrender to Bhagavan's lotus feet in unclutching and entangle with Bhagavan in the quantum space, the mirroring neuron that you are in the oneness space simply will grasp and makes you understand. Simply the thought will happen to you that this is what it is, and you can simply download that as reality. So let's have one more cycle, few minutes. Put away your gadgets. Let's all collectively hold that Paramashiva is real and chant the Mahavakya, getting absorbed into Paramashiva in most authentic space of oneness. Let's start chanting with a deep listening.
Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Paramashivoham, Paramashivoham.
Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us.
Paramashivoham, Paramashivoham, Paramashivoham.
Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Paramashivoham, Paramashivoham,
Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes.
Paramashivoham,
Let the Amrita pour, let the Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Paramashivoham, Paramashivoham,
Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes.
Paramashivoham,
Let the Amrita pour, let the Vani open up,
Paramashivoham,
manifest in all of us.
Paramashivoham, 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 Paramashivoham,
Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
So beautiful. Whatever prasada you received, please go ahead and share in tinyurl.com/powermanifestation your experience on powerful cognition, your questions, your suggestions, everything you can post, and thank Bhagavan for all this greater truth and making it as reality in our life, transforming our life slowly and making us recognize our own self as Paramashiva, the greatest gift that Bhagavan is downloading in each one of us. Thank Bhagavan. All that we can do is thank Bhagavan again and again for all that greater signs He is giving us and getting us out of all the miseries, problems, and giving us the ultimate bliss and surrendering to Bhagavan's lotus feet as highest gift that He is offering, and He is recognizing that as our deep desire and blessing us with that. That is the most biggest gift that we can have, is letting us to surrender at His lotus feet. And beautifully, all this that you have experienced, share it in your social media, tag it to your friends and family, or in tinyurl.com/powermanifestation. And you can offer even the lowest currency as the dakshina. Whatever you offer to Kailasha, simply the auspiciousness, abundance, and fulfilling that Kailasha is real becomes in your inner space. More and more we start enriching, causing others reality, contributing for the higher cause. Paramashiva is real. We become that. That is all Bhagavan is giving us through all these beautiful exercise. Simple integrity, simple obedience makes us recognize the Paramashiva in us. Thanking all of you, collective integrity, collective consciousness, creating such a beautiful space on planet Earth. And thanking Bhagavan in deep gratitude for all that showering and surrendering all this powerful cognition, power manifestation at Bhagavan's lotus feet. And with a deep earning, Paramashiva as my thought, as my word, as my reality, holding everybody as Paramashiva as my reality, ending this session with the Purna Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Bhagavate Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam Paduka Arpanamastu. Om Nithyanandam. Thank you so much. See you in the next session after the darshan.